And you say Shy City and around the world, welcome to another episode of Chicago's Intellectuals Podcast. We are back. We're back. And today we have none other than Rodney Hawkins, affectionately call him Hawk. How you doing, brother?
Very good. I can't complain. Great day. The Bears won. Anytime the Bears win, I'm in a good mood the rest of the day.
Even though they're struggling, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Listen, man, this should be exciting. Let's jump right into this. Tell the world a little bit about your background, where you were raised, schools, your family life, things of that nature.
I'm going to be a little selfish here because I think my situation's unique because I only went to two schools my entire life in Chicago. You talk to people, they went to multiple schools. I didn't. I went to County Cullen Elementary School, located in Rosemore on 106 in Eberhard, and then the mighty CVS, Chicago Vocational High School, as we might say in the hood, crime, violence, and sex. But,
I would
no,
have to agree with you on that one.
so I'm a Roseland guy, man. If you look at like I grew up off of 79th Street, we lived off of Cottage Grove, but my childhood, almost 30 something years, is going to be in Roseland. So that's where I identify with in what's called today the Wild Hundreds.
The Wild
But
Hunt.
I have an affection with Roseland, a nostalgia with Roseland. I'm the youngest in the house of 9 kids.
Mm.
So that was a trip within itself. And I'm probably one of the original guys on my block.
Did you grow up in a two-parent household?
No, but it was unique. I'm going to go back to that selfish comment I made because my parents lived 7 blocks away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw my father every day, but there was a divorce in 1969.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So my father lived in what's called Rosemore,
Okay.
which is upper middle class compared to my address in Roseland, which was the hood.
So how was it growing up in Roseland?
Roseland was a fantastic place. And I always tell people before the 80s, because Roseland was a neighborhood where there was white flight. But
Yeah.
when we first moved on our block, we were one of the few Black families on our block. But it wasn't like a lot of racial tension
Mm-hmm.
because they were just surviving like we were too. But once they moved, we still had a pet shop, ice cream parlors, restaurants, hotels, all located on Michigan Avenue.
Mm.
So it was a thriving community as a child.
Now
A
you
lot
mean
of
the
fun.
Roseland, Michigan Avenue, not the downtown Michigan Avenue.
Yes, there's a
It's
huge
the Michigan
distinction.
Avenue.
Yes. Yeah, Michigan Avenue and Roseland. So we have Michigan and State, but that's a good point. You just brought up a great point. Yeah, it's the Roseland version of those. But again, we have banks, businesses, pet stores, vegetable stands, meat markets, all right there on Michigan Avenue. From 107th in Michigan
Mm-hmm.
to 115th in Michigan was thriving.
Are we talking black owned?
Kind of. Good point again. A lot of Korean stores, Arab stores later,
Mm-hmm.
as that's what we would call them. But there were some Black entrepreneurs when we were growing up.
Okay. Okay.
More so than it probably is today. I would say if I put a percentage of it, I would say 45% Black owned.
Okay. So 9 kids, one parent household. What was that dynamic like?
So for me, people would say I'm an old soul, and people would say I have a memory like an elephant. But it was a very tight knit family, man. We ate dinner at the same time.
Mm.
Uh, we had my mother who was, I always said, and she said this too, it was the inmates taking over at the asylum. My mother ruled with an iron fist. So when she
Mm.
was at home, our house ran like clockwork. And there's a few things that I'd like to say. So being the youngest of nine, the dynamic was when my mother left, who would try to take charge.
Okay.
So my brother Clarence, we called him Chief, he was in charge, but he liked to go out a lot. So he'd go out, and then my sister Judy would think she's taking control, and it just stuff ran downhill, and I was on the bottom. Now you would think that being on the bottom that they just ran me like that, but they didn't, because I was a smart aleck. I was cursing at a younger age.
Yeah.
And everything, when they tell my mother that I did, she could never believe it. So I was considered bad. But no, it was a great opportunity because I got a chance to learn, and a lot of things like their mistakes I don't have to make. Some of their triumphs, I did the same things. Okay. So it was a great opportunity. And I got to say, though, my sister was young and she got married, our older sister, Christine. She got married, but she was in the house with her 4 kids as well. So it was a busy house growing up.
Wow. Wow. So 2 of your older siblings, your brother was on the S-Curl billboard.
Yeah.
And your sister was a model for Adriana Furs.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, but my brother's greatest accomplishment was the first Black Jack Daniels man.
Okay.
So he that's what he strived for. No, they're both very attractive people, and I can see where that happened for them. But my sister, she's an entrepreneur, so she was actually working at Adriana Furs.
Okay.
And they asked her, they were doing their modeling things, and they looked right in the house and said, "Why don't we have you as a model?" So they both had agencies, and they both did a lot of work in the Chicago area. My brother also did it in Dallas. I know his agency. I don't know my sister. He was with the Kim Dawson agency, which is a very large modeling agency. So he had that look, man. He was like that chocolate look. He had the full mustache. He dressed very well. He was avant-garde, black tie affair. He's gonna come in with the Bill Blast jeans and the t-shirt, underdressed, but nobody cared. And he'd tell you he's the center of attention. But that was cool because I got to see them in their element.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they both, I think in today's world with social media, they both would have took it further than they did.
So let's take it back to school. So after you graduated from CVS, where did you transition to from there?
So I got to go with my senior year before, if it's okay.
Yes.
So I'm in the band.
Okay.
And I prayed to God that he lets me make this basketball team, which he did. And when I started being recruited for basketball, you know how back in the day we had that counselor's office?
Yes.
All your recruiting mail didn't go to your house, it goes to the counselor's office. And my counselor said, "Hey man, you can't go to none of these schools." And I said, "Why not?" He said, "You don't have the grades." And I'm like, "I'm good." He said, "No, your grade point average." And he explained to me how that worked. And he said, "You're not a person, you're very intelligent, you're just a clown." That's what my counselor told me. So anyway, he kept giving me the mail. So I come back in division and everybody looking at the mail. Then one day he gave me a piece of mail from a school in Kansas. It was Kobe Community College in Western Kansas. And it was a residential junior college.
Okay.
And he said, "This is more like your speed." And he tossed it to me. And I'm looking through it. And I start hearing that there's a lot of basketball players going to junior college to get seasoned, both on the court and in the classroom. So I took it home. And you know how something's in your crawl space?
Yeah.
I was like, man, sounds like a good opportunity. So the guy, he came, and you'll appreciate this. He came to Chicago and he says, "You got any friends you want to take with?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to take our starting off guard, who we refer to as Beanie." And so Beanie and I were scheduled to go out there during spring break. A day before, Benny said, Hawk, I ain't going. He said, I'm going to stay and go to the College of DuPage. And I said, why don't you at least visit? He said, nah, it's not really my speed. So I went out there, all white environment, not one black person whatsoever, other than people on the team. But when I got back, it was in my crawl space and said, you need to go there. You need to go there. Now, they had one famous player, his name is Curtis Gates from Cabrini. Curtis was an All-American, so he came over, and I decided to go there. It was strictly one of those internal decisions where it didn't make sense at the time.
Right.
I could have sat out at DePaul, Illinois, Chicago, Loyola. All the local type schools wanted me to sit out and then work on my grades, but I knew I had to get out of Chicago. So I went a long way of answering your question. I went to Western Kansas for 2 years to get an associate degree and get better at basketball.
Okay. And after that, what did you end up doing?
Okay, so I did get recruited in Kansas, where it took me, like I was on one level when I left Chicago. I was a major college recruit when I left Kobe. So I went on visits. So everything worked out for me. One quick story there is my roommate quit. And so the coach told me, he said, I'm going to let you have your own dorm, your own room. He said, I want you to have your own room. I closed the door, Rodney, and all of a sudden I realized, man, never in my life have I had my own room.
Wow.
I slept in the bed with my two brothers for 13, 14, 15 years. When I closed that door, man, I had my clothes ironed, I had my radio blaring, carpet on the floor, I had a bed that had a spread, a sheet, pillows, and all that. And that was the first time in my life I recognized that I didn't have it, but now I have it.
That was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. And the coach never put anybody else in there. So I went on all kind of visits, but I chose to go to San Diego State University because I went out there for a visit. Never in my life have I seen a palm tree. Like I've seen Lake Michigan, but when you see the ocean, it's a little different.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So they took me when I got off the plane. I had this long coat on. Everybody was wearing long coats back then, gangster long coats.
Yeah.
Took the coat off. It's 80-some degrees. We went and we had dinner, and it didn't have a bottom. It was a glass bottom restaurant. And I'm eating and just enjoying myself. Then we went on this catamaran that was owned by Dennis Conner, and they won the America's Cup in this thing. And literally things like that started happening for me. So they didn't know that I was going to pick them, but as soon as we hit the campus, man, it was so beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing that I've ever been a part of. And I told them, I said, I'm gonna come here. They were like, I remember calling my brother, and he's a real academic dude. He was like, have you met with any professors? I said, man, I ain't met with nobody. I'm coming here, and it's the most beautiful place in the world. So I chose to go to San Diego State University.
Let me ask you this. What are your values?
My values are family first, my relationship with my higher being, and just literally my values is to be a good citizen and a good person foremost. And I think if you do those things, it might sound a little corny, but if you do those things, good things happen to you.
Yeah.
I always knew I was a good dude, even in the hood. In the trenches, I knew that I had a conscience.
The hundreds was the trenches too.
Yes.
Where would you say you got your early mindset? Like, who were some of your early influences as far back as you can remember?
Man, you got some good questions. I'm going to shock you, though, on some of them. When you say influences, I have to decide whether those are positive or negative. It's not like I had superheroes, because I'm going to say this with respect. My father and uncles worked at Ford Motor Company doing double shifts, and they all had vices, and they still never missed a day of work. My aunt at the post office in Roseland never missed a day of work. Hell,
Mm,
my mother never missed a day of work. So I'm gonna say all of those people,
okay.
their work ethic,
So
because I
family.
watched them do things on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and how in the hell did they wake up on Monday and go to work?
What you talking about? The fish fries, the card games, the
Yeah, card
drinking,
games, the whiskey, the corn whiskey, the club sets at the lounge, and
yeah.
guess what? They got up, had their coffee, and went to work. But I'm gonna say this though. I would say my parents, because it was a unique situation, and more so my mom.
Hmm.
I'll touch on my father for a second. My father was, he had his faults like the rest of the people in his generation. So he gambled, he did everything, he ran the streets and everything. But what he did for me personally is he would tell me all that and tell me the ramifications of all that.
Mm.
Like one of the things is that he was from Augill Gardens when Augill Gardens started off with great intentions for
Hmm.
young couples, and you stayed there a couple of years and then you got your house. And he was telling me coming up that they all played sports all the time. He said Augill Gardens was so clean, if you dropped a candy bar wrapper, you get fined.
Mm.
And so he was the best in the neighborhood. He had a tryout with the Negro Leagues, the Chicago team. He had to be there at 10 a.m.
Was that baseball
Yeah,
or
baseball,
baseball?
baseball. He got high, drunk, and everything else. And this is what he told me. He showed up to, I think it was Comiskey Park back then, about
Right.
10:20, and they wouldn't let him on the field and told him to get out.
Mm.
And so he would give me all those little things that happened to him, and what he was doing was setting me up for success. Also, two quick things. He one summer, and I know when it was 82,
Hmm.
summer of 82, and we were in a recession. And I believe Ronald Reagan was the president. He would not let me and my two brothers close in age to me get out to Ford Motor Company for a summer job. And they were paying $15 an hour. That was a lot of money back then.
Hmm.
I was mad at him. I said, man, I don't have any money. You won't get us out there. And he looked me straight in the face and said, if you have your name on your shirt and you have to ask a man to go to lunch, you ain't doing shit.
Mm.
And he said, if they put you on the assembly line and you have to pee, you got to pull this lever. And then a utility guy comes in and works your station until you get back from the restroom. And he says, humiliating trying to rush to get there so the guy isn't mad at you. So here's the parallel. All of my cousins got out there. They had cars and trucks and just enviable lifestyle. Not one of them lived to retirement.
Mm.
It beat him up. It beat him up. So he told me, he said, I was 23. I looked up, I was 50, and they were giving me a watch. He said it just the time flew. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things he didn't want us in the plan. He wanted us to go to college. And then the tail end of that, he and seriously, he had a serious drinking problem. I would say it to anybody.
Hmm.
Come home from work, a 12 pack of old Milwaukee's gonna be gone. Eat dinner, watch ball games and game shows, and get fat. I saw that. So when you say an influence, that was an influence to say, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And he let me into his world because I'm sure he was fighting demons, anesthetizing himself with the alcohol and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and gambling too, horse racing and all that stuff.
Yeah. My uncle and them
So
used to do
yeah,
the same thing. They worked at those plants, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah. He come home, take a shower, put on his khakis and his t-shirt, and it was on. And he was a happy drunk. My uncle was a violent, vulgar drunk. So I got to see all this. But then they got up and went to work every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Double shifts. They was making a lot of money, but damn, it beat him up. So anyway, that next summer he said, "You want to play basketball?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "All right, this summer I'm gonna give you a little chump change." That's what he called it. He
Yeah.
said, "You ain't gonna get a job. The women in the family gonna say you're lazy or whatever. You want to play basketball. All I want you to do is get up every day, take care of whatever you had to take, but you play basketball the whole day."
Mm.
Chicago, that's very easy to do. We go to
Yeah.
park to park, and then those private runs, and then Chicago State. And that's what I attribute my basketball success because he believed in me enough to give me my chump change, as he called it.
Right, right. That's what they used to
Yeah,
call it.
yeah,
Yeah.
my chump change. So it started off as $5, but when you pour and somebody gives you 25, that's a lot of money. So that's my influence there, and not all the great things, but he let me in that world, and I saw some miserable stuff in there, but it has helped me to be a better husband, father.
Yeah, that's a real story, man.
Yep.
So what about your mom, man? Because I know your mom she's very similar. I tell you all the time. She was
Yeah.
very similar to how my mother is, man, especially with that mouth.
Yeah, my mother ruled with an iron fist, but she had to as I get older.
Mhm,
Like when we were living off of 79th and Phillips, she had 9 kids, and my father had lost his house in the Burnside area, gambling.
mhm.
So she had to move. So a Jewish lady gave her the only apartment she can get. It was about 5 bedrooms on 79th, right off Phillips, down the street from the old McDonald's.
Okay, yeah.
I was 4. I
Exactly.
remember,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the old arches.
Hmm.
I remember because I was 4. And here's a story, man, that my siblings they'll cringe if I say this. There's people in the neighborhood that were supposed to babysit me.
Hmm.
When they went to school, sometimes I was at the crib by myself.
Wow.
And I remember it. And they'd come home at times, and I was just that mature. And then one time I went to McDonald's. Remember they wore them hats?
Yeah, the little the little waiter looking hats. Yeah.
Yeah, my mother got off the bus and the man told her and said, "Your son came down there. We fed him and everything." And so this is the stuff. And she told me you can't be leaving the house. So, but anyway, she had certain things that she did. When that lady gave her that apartment, it was a beautiful apartment too.
Hmm.
And you know how you around 4 you remember stuff, but you don't know everything.
Right. You
I
don't
just
know the details.
remember the floors, the smell of the the hallway. There's a
Yeah, the
certain
pine saw,
smell.
the bleach.
Yeah. Yeah, you can smell it. I can still smell. And then the gangway. I can remember people hanging out in the gangway. So my father would come by, bring money or pick somebody up or something. And I never understood divorce
Mm.
because I saw him all the time. But my mother, she did, when that lady gave her that place, she saved up to buy a house in Roseland.
Mm.
So that's where we moved to Roseland. But my mother, I'll just be brief. She has some things that she would say that sticks to me to this day. With her sons, she let us, we didn't have a curfew, so we could be out. But she knew we were just playing sports.
Hmm.
But she told us one time she would bring in from the University of Chicago. That's where she worked, and she wasn't a registered nurse. This is important.
Mm.
She worked, she was in nursing, but she wasn't a registered nurse. So they didn't pay her a lot of money. But she introduced us to a lot of famous people around the Hyde Park area. So we kind of know all of them. But she bring these pamphlets home, Rod, and these pamphlets had every disease sexually you want to see,
Wow.
and lay it on the table for us, their boys,
Hmm.
and everything. I don't even have to name it. It was just everything.
Yeah.
And then when we ask about it, she'll say, "No, because you guys don't understand." And she'll go into that. She said, "I don't want to be no young grandmother. I don't want to do all that." And she said, "I'm not going to babysit kids like that." And it helped me because I wasn't doing nothing. And she would say all the ramifications about having babies and everything. Technically, what she was doing is scared straight
Mm.
because at younger ages, like for instance, in 8th grade, when somebody told me they snuck in somebody's house and messed around, I
Right.
couldn't imagine that
Mm.
because we had too many kids. You ain't sneaking in our house.
Right.
Somebody, but and then let her catch you. That was death sentence. So I never could imagine it. So when I got to high school, I was really a gentleman, and
Mm.
I got out of stories like that. But here's a few other ones. She said, "You're at a party, you leave with the people you came with.
Hmm.
You're at a party, you meet as a group. We're gonna fight together. or we're gonna meet up and run.
Yeah.
So when you say that to people they don't experience life like that, they'll say, "No, I never ran." You're a damn lie.
In Chicago.
If you yeah, in Chicago, you ran. And I
Yeah.
remember, and one of the people you know very well, Tyree, he can tell you, when
Mm.
that group said we about to move, that means either we gonna fight or we gonna hit it.
Yeah.
And then say which way to go, and you just run for dear life. So that was my mother's thing. And then she always said that this is a funny story, and I can't mention the name because you know this person. I was on 79th Street, and I saw a friend of mine's girlfriend with another guy that I knew,
Mm.
and they were kind of fighting. So I said to the crowd I was with, "What are they doing?" He said, "Oh, they do that all the time." And I was like, "They can't do that all the time. That's my boy's girlfriend." Seriously. So I come to the crib in Roseland. It's just me and my mother because everybody was going to college. And I said, "If you seen your friend's girlfriend or boyfriend with another guy, would you tell?" And she said, "It depends on how tight you are
Mm-hmm.
with that person." She said, "Some people get mad. Some people think you're, what we'll call hating and all that." But she said, "No, how tight?" I said, "Nah, I kind of hang with this person on a daily basis." And then she said, "Who is it?" And I told her the name. And she said, "You call him right now and tell him." She was disgusted. So
Oh.
I called him and he was cool. And in fact, we were driving in the car and he was like, "That wasn't no thing, whatever." But it worked out perfectly because she gave me that advice. And if I wasn't tight with him, I probably would have never said anything. But the last thing she did is she navigated those gangs.
Your mom?
Yes, she was Mrs. Hawkins. She walked the streets in Roseland. She got commanded respect.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the corners where you see 30 people out there demonstrating or whatever they're doing. Water's part of how you doing, Miss Hawkins? You need anything? You need any help, Miss Hawkins? Boom, boom, boom. And they didn't know she carried an ice pick,
Whew.
not a knife. She had an ice pick.
Rest in peace, Miss Hawkins. Your son on this platform telling on you.
Yeah. And the fact is she was ready to use it.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'll say, this is a funny story, man. No disrespect. There was a lady probably around 6'4". She was of the LBGT persuasion, but she dressed like a man, right?
Mm.
Me and my mother walking to get her some cigarettes. So it was wintertime. And she was covered up and shit. She said, "How you doing, Mrs. Hawkins?" She said, "I'm good, man." I said, "What?" She said, "Oh," I said, "You called her a man. That was a woman." She said, "All this time, I thought she," and then the person was happy that she did that. And they dapped up and we just laughed. We laughed about that even before she died. It was like the funniest thing. She's like, "All this time I thought that was a man." I'm like, "Hey," but that was my mother in a nutshell, man. She went to finger,
Yeah.
born and raised in Chicago. Chicago and through, will fight, whatever. But she loved her family. But she just did a great job of keeping the boys, because the girls was better citizens than we were. We were out in the streets.
Yeah.
One of my brothers wasn't, but the rest of us were. But that's what I would say some influences for me.
So she got to see all of her kids successful. She got to see you guys as adults
Yes,
before she passed.
yes.
Okay.
All the college graduations, all of that. And then she came to Germany when I was playing basketball, stayed for 2 weeks. And she told me, we after one of the games, she said, I didn't know you were that good at basketball.
Mm.
And she had never seen me play.
Yeah, because not a lot of parents would come to the high school
Yeah.
ball games.
Oh, not at all.
Right.
She'd
Right.
never seen her friends that had friends playing will say stuff. She'll read stuff in the paper, but she never knew it. And but she couldn't take off. She was hourly.
Right. Right.
They couldn't, all these parent teacher conferences they got now, man. Nobody can afford if they're hourly, you taking off for that.
Especially a single parent.
Some of my influences weren't good coming up. They were people that were in the streets, the
Yeah.
people that we would consider the pimps, the drug dealers, because I knew I didn't want to be that. I knew it was flashy, but I never strived to do that.
Yeah.
It never fascinated me. I always had a conscience, and I was like, this isn't what I just walk in the store. You and I talked about this before. Walking to the store as an 8-year-old, the stuff you saw
Yeah.
that we see in movies and people are amazed, and my kids don't understand it. I never wanted to do it, but they had an influence in me because guess what? I went to another direction.
Yeah.
And without being hypocritical, I was there, but I knew I didn't want to do that.
You know, that's the first time that I've asked that question and somebody put it into the proper perspective. Because its proper perspective is that there are positive and negative consequences of influences, right?
Yes.
You get both good influences and you get not so good influences, and you have to make a choice, right? And many times, coming from where we came from, the choices end up counterproductive for the most part. So that's good. So now you have this basketball career at San Diego State University. Can you take us through that?
Yes, it's something interesting. And I'm going to come back to that street influence thing because I forgot a major influence.
Okay.
Any coach that I had, Rodney, any coach that I had on Little League, Pony League, Rec Center basketball was always a black man that worked and got off work and came out to that field, to that court.
Yeah.
So that for me was my heroes.
Yeah.
The guy that had that white beater on and his khakis, you know, he was at the steel mill and he's out there hitting balls to us. And, you know, on the basketball tip, I'm a name drop here. So, and one of our friends was on this team. So, and it's going to come back to San Diego State. I went in, I went to my sister's house. You know how you go somewhere for the summer? You're
Yeah.
still at home, but you go somewhere else. I was
Right.
at my sister's house off 79th and East End. So my friend Tyree said, we getting this team together, and the coach is named Bernie, and he's going to put the team together. So I never made a practice, but I came in like towards the tail end of him getting his team. And he said, and I knew him, he said, Hawk, I can't put you on here because I already got 12. You'll be the 13th. You ain't going to play. You're going to be mad at me, whatever. So Bernie Mac, who we know, that's who it was.
CVS alumni.
Yes. So Bernie Mac had a team of all light-skinned dudes. And literally, the name was the Joints. So as I got older, I knew what he was doing.
Good.
So anyway, we didn't play. So I was pissed off. I was ticked off. And so I put together at Edgar Allan Poe and 107th and Langley a team, and we played them in the championship. And we beat them with my ragtime thugs that we put together. But my point is, it's not a hero story. It's like Bernie was my first catalyst because the next year with that team, Hawk, is this the same Hawk? And so it's like he planted the seed that I was good now. So I start, but I'll get to San Diego State. I get there, and of course you're a recruit. Everybody's pumped up, but they have bigger names out there. One of them played for King is Tracy Dildy.
Oh, Tracy.
He's my roommate. So he's an All-American in high school. We got playing in the gym as soon as we got there. And he, for some reason, he always said, Hawk dog. He said, hey, dog, let's go in there and just play. We started playing and killing. And then I said, man, I'm better than everybody in this gym. And it was from the streets of Chicago. So it wasn't like my son and them, they have trainers and all. We didn't have no trainers. We just played in the parks.
Right.
So I started killing in the preseason. And when the season started, I'm most proud of, I started every game in my career at San Diego State. And I'm considered one of the better players in the 80s era. But it was all because of my upbringing in Chicago. And the people that helped me along the way. You know, people say that, but no, I went through it in Chicago. I went through, as you know, we were classmates. I wasn't the tallest dude at first. You know, I grew and I went through being clumsy, being the clown. But on the basketball tip, there's a word in Chicago that I'm proud of. It's called buster. You go to the courts and you a buster.
Yeah.
And a buster don't get chosen unless somebody didn't show up.
Right.
They need a body. Older cats tell you, hey, Rod, don't shoot. Just pass and all that. But it's a rite of passage in the hood.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point you're in that scrub status. He's a scrub, but he's going to be all right, you know. And then you start getting better and better. So now, if you take it and go to school, you're considered the toughest dude.
Yeah.
You're considered like, I mean, literally like you can jump higher, and it's just because of Chicago, man. I don't know if they still have it, but that was the mentality. So I had success at San Diego State. I had a lot of personal success.
Did you end up having a professional career?
Oh, yeah, I went to Europe. I played in Europe, and I also played in what's called the CBA, which is the Continental Basketball Association. They call it the G League now, but it's more organized now than it was back then. But that too amazed me because one summer, the summer before my senior year, we would play at Chicago State in the daytime, but you had to have connections to get in there. Yeah. So you go meet the AD, his name was Al Avant. Hey, I play here and there, and they'll give you the right to go in there. But it's everybody you grew up with, everybody you read in the newspaper with. So I'm in there and I'm killing one day. And the guy came to me and says, you know, the Summer League is starting. You want to play in the Slit Small Liquor Summer League. And you know how the honeymooners, when Ralph Crandon does the I did that for about 10 minutes because we grew up going to that game all the time. And now I'm playing. So first game, me, Tracy Dildy, we playing for Coca-Cola. And they have uniforms in the middle of the floor. I'm putting the uniform. We had Ricky Green, Dallas Comagene, somebody else. But it's all the people you know.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, man. I can't even concentrate. Got cotton mouth. I'm sitting there. So, okay, I get in the gym. It's not crowded yet, but it's getting crowded. And this is my funniest story. So I'm getting loose now, and Tracy's talking. Tracy's the best shit talker you ever want to see from King High School. He talking, he got me fired up. I look to my left and coming in the door, and Terry Cummings walks in. And he's on Playboy. They had black sweet uniforms.
Yeah.
Tyrone Corbin comes in. He's on Playboy.
Wow.
Reggie Theus comes in, and he got this, it's not even a headband, it's like an Indian thing tied behind this thing. I'm in awe at this point. Cummings and Theus, you know. Corbin was like close, like he was just graduating from DePaul. Man, and I'm sitting there and they had somebody local that I know came in. And I think the high jumping dude out of Illinois from Aurora was on there. So Kenny Battle.
Kenny Battle.
I'm cool because I said, hopefully I don't get in. This is a very personal story. So, man, the crowd start running in, man, and there's a buzz in the air, and you could just feel it. And this kid came in holding these shoes, and young Mike came in there, man. MJ came in there, and I'd be damned if he wasn't a Playboy. So I'm looking around. I told Ricky, because I knew Ricky Green, I said, how the hell we just got you? And they got And so Ricky said, I don't think you get in anyway. So the game starts, man. And Mike probably has about 60-something. Dunking on everybody, Cummings dunking on there. I mean, it was a good game back and forth, but they were winning. So about 3 minutes to go, coach looked down there and said, hey, young fella, you ready to get in? I looked right at him. I looked at the 3 minutes. I was like, nah, not today. And that is the funniest because it's real, man.
Oh, shit.
It was, I could not put myself out there.
Wow. So
it's not even embarrassing.
Jordan, Tyrone Corbin, and Terry Cummings were pros. Dallas Comagene, was he at DePaul at the time?
He had graduated. He was with the New Jersey Nets, but I knew his situation. He was a free agent. He was trying to hold on. But no, it was Theus was already in the league too. Don't
Is
forget
Theus
Reggie
playing for the
Theus.
Bulls then?
And I think he got traded somewhere, but he
Clippers.
still lived in Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Okay.
had all the NBA cats.
Wow. Wow.
And so this was a Friday, but you know you play 2 days.
Yeah.
Next day I come in, I look at the thing because they had brochures, which I still have it. They had who was on the team. And it was nobody like that. And it was somebody who I respect. It was Lowell Hamilton.
Mm.
So Tracy said, man, all right, you just as good as the rest of these people. And in that game, since those people weren't there, I played and never looked back.
Wow.
Had a very good game.
So how many countries did your pro career take you to?
Well, I was based out in just two, Germany and Finland. But as far as playing, my passport's probably 15 to 20 something countries stamped that we would play or we would visit. And I was always fortunate. So a lot of people would say I played basketball overseas, but I went from college to the first division in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like I had German Olympic players on my team. It was high level basketball.
Yeah.
So it was professional basketball. And I had a job. It wasn't like you'll talk to people and they had to go there, prove themselves. They came to San Diego and signed me.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How proud are you of your son?
Extremely. But I'm proud of my daughters because they played first. But yeah, I'm extremely proud of him. I'm proud of him because with social media and all the TV stuff, in essence, he played at a much higher level than I did. And he played with much more scrutiny. Because nobody knew when I stunk up the gym if we're playing UC Santa Barbara on the West Coast because they're already in bed in the Midwest and the East. They may read about it in the little page in the sports, but now they're on Sports Center.
Mm-hmm.
They're on social media. It's so I'm proud of him for being able to do that for 5 years on the level and the scrutiny, the level of scrutiny they're under.
That's a great job you did with your kids, man. So let's talk a little bit about the Hawkins Group. What is it that you guys do over at the Hawkins Group, and how did you establish this company?
So it's a funny story. I was in law enforcement, and I was in Denver, Colorado, and I was coming out of a job there, and I went to postal inspectors, all the DEA, Secret Service, they had their own room. And I'm coming, I got all this stuff, these applications and everything. I thought that's what route I wanted to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I bumped into a guy at MetLife Financial, and his stuff fell down, my stuff fell down. And he said, what are you doing here? And I told him I was in the law enforcement room. And he said he was kind of young. He was like maybe in his 30s when I was in 20s. And he goes, so you're going to risk your life for $40,000?
Wow.
And I said, what? He says, no, I'm serious. It's good work, but I mean, that's what you really want to do. And then he asked me about my basketball and everything. He said, let me ask you a question. He said, if you made $100,000, and this is 1998, he said, would you care how you made it? I said, if it's legal and ethical. He said, yeah, all of that. He said, but if it was commissions or salary, would you care? I said, no, because I made it. Right. Why would I care? And then he gave me this pamphlet. And basically it was like betting on yourself. Mm-hmm. So I was working in a immigration prison. I worked as a campus cop at the University of Denver.
So you were ice, you was ice before ice.
Yes, I'm glad I'm out of it now. I probably would have been the director of this facility now, though. Yeah. So anyway, I read the thing and it said, you know, why not you? That was the whole message in it. So and they said, call your family and do some marketing. Tell them you think about being a financial advisor. And Rodney, that's the toughest call to make, is to call your family and tell them you're thinking about getting out of a great federal job and to go into business for yourself. I took so much. Some people was cool. Like I'll say my sisters were more supportive than other people.
Yeah.
But some people are like, are you crazy? You're
Mm-hmm.
going to give that up to do that? I'm scared of commissions. Everybody gives you their fear. So anyway, first things first, you have to pass all these tests. And it's not just the insurance test, it's the securities exam, it's financial planning, all that stuff you have to pass. So I'm passing the test and I'm still not employed by them yet. And then he said, we're going to send you to San Francisco to school. We'll give you a small training salary, but you got to commit to it. It's
Mm.
not something you can do part time. And my wife, we had two small kids at the time. She was for it.
Yeah.
And when your spouse is for it, you'll do it because you got support.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into it. So the Hawkins Group came about because as you advance in this business, you realize that you're not an employee, you're
Right.
an owner. So the difference between me and other people that you may see in financial services, they'll say, I work for the city of Chicago as this, and I do this at night.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do this full time.
Mm. Yeah.
I do this and I've built a business. I have a clientele. So the Hawkins Group here's my walking commercial is that we're going to look at you as a holistic approach to your financial needs, and it's not about sales. In fact, it will take me 3 appointments before I even mention the word buy anything,
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to look at your total finances, and I kind of have it written down here. Things like a balanced budget,
Mm-hmm.
reducing your debt, improving your credit, retirement, and then protection things like insurance things. And at the same time, we work on your accumulation. So with me, I'm not a jack of all trades. I have a financial planning wing.
Okay.
Like for instance, if a person says I grew up with Hawk, well, I don't want them to know all about me. I can bring in a whole different wing to handle that aspect. If they have tax issues, I can handle that aspect. So it's just a holistic approach to financial planning and financial peace.
Mm-hmm.
It's not get rich quick. So,
How many years have you had the Hawkins Group?
so out of 28 years of being an advisor, 20 years.
Wow. Wow. That's
I've
pretty.
had I've had great years. I've had years where I'm looking at the state jobs. Never took it, but and then I've had years where it was phenomenal. So I just think it's my calling to help people
Do you have any success stories that comes to mind?
in business.
Yes.
I'll tell you one that's very personal to me. I was cold calling in Denver. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had to knock on so many doors in order to meet the curriculum. It's not like, and when you knock on the doors, you have to fill out what's called a fact finder.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a medical complex, it was new, and I looked in there, I could see one dude in there, and I knocked on the door about 5:15. He called me in. Brand new. I got my spill. I'm ready to get down. I was nervous as heck. So he said to me, and this is exactly the conversation. He says, are you nervous because I'm a doctor? And I said, yeah. He said, and there's another part of this too. He goes, I know this. I don't know what you're going to tell me
That's
about.
right.
He said, so there's no reason to be nervous now if you're going to come in here and try to do something I do. I can see that. He said, so don't be nervous. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm interested in what you have. He said, go ahead and give me the presentation. So I saw a picture on the wall and I got nervous further. And he says, this is very personal. He goes, now you're nervous again because that's my partner. He said, are you nervous because I'm a doctor? I'm gay? And I said, both. And he said, don't be. Again, I have no interest in you. I want to hear what you have to say. So
Mm-hmm.
when he said that, I went into my spiel, everything they trained me about. So I come in, I write these apps, and I wrote 4 pieces of business.
Wow.
And my manager, young Italian dude, he says, close the door, Rod. I close the door. He says, you know what? I said, what? He says, what did you, he said, so I went over role played the conversation with him. He says, man, you did a phenomenal job. And he said, guess what? How long did it take you? I said, about an hour. He said, so in an hour. He said, are you a brain surgeon? I said, no. Are you a corporate attorney? I said, no. He says, you made $9,800
Wow.
with the 4 pieces. He showed me how I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, all you have to do is don't worry about the commission and the sale because people can smell it on your breath.
Mm-hmm.
Go in there and help people. And that catapulted me. I made every trip that you can make. I was rookie of the year in the office because I got out of a sales mentality. I'm there to help. I created the problem, the pain, and I solved it.
Mm. So this was how you got your feet wet
Yes,
as a financial consultant.
yes. So $9,800 in 1998,
Wow.
and you coming home, you got two little girls at
Yeah.
home, and that's like you jump for joy.
Yeah, that's
And we're
heavy.
not talking about where the check has to clear. It's in your account on Friday.
Yeah. Wow.
So
So what are you presently working on?
as far as professionally or just
I mean, whatever it is that comes to mind. All of the
okay,
above.
so I got a couple of things. So my practice is moving into different sectors.
Okay.
So I'm not one that's just like anybody. So I just I was at a leadership conference in Pasadena. A guy tips me on the shoulder and says, I need something that you mentioned earlier. So he's in the music and film industry in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So if I go and do business with him, when I meet you next, I could say I'm in the film business. So I'm doing a lot of different sectors. I also have professional athletes that I'm working with now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm branching my business out to different sectors instead of just being a catch-all.
Yeah, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. Future aspirations. What you got?
Couple of things. I literally want to see all of my kids
Mm-hmm.
successful.
Yeah.
I think that's my number one job. That's the CEO. And it doesn't have to be monetarily. It's just doing what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're productive in it and they're striving for more. When that happens, then I'll have the success. But what I truly desire is to build my practice where I work when I want to work.
Mm-hmm.
I get up when I want to get up.
Making money
And
in
that,
sleep.
yeah, that financial freedom that I'm not there yet, but I'm not digging ditches either.
Yeah, I got you.
So if I look at that, and then also if you think about if you can do that type of success, then you can monetarily help others.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of your children, wanting to see them happy and successful, well, all of them are more than halfway there, right?
Yeah, I this is what I take most pride in is that my wife and I in our 40s,
Yeah.
we really talked about it. We said we're going to support whatever they're doing. It just happens to be like my daughters, like Coleman, you mentioned my son, but he took the cue from my daughters. My daughter Taylor, Ashley, and Bailey, they played basketball, track, volleyball in high school. So my wife and I she might be over here at practice. I might be over here somewhere. And then my son's coming. So we really put that time in. Every weekend we're somewhere, whether it's in the city or out of the city. So here's what I'm most proud of. Every one of them received a college scholarship and they graduated college. And one has their master's degree.
Mm.
And yet I never spent a dime on college funding. I call it beer money. All I did is send money for beer
Yeah.
or whatever else they were doing. But I'm most proud of that because they took the genes and they ran with it.
Yeah.
I never forced them into sports, but that's what they wanted to do. And I always said that God placed me in cities that were small enough where I can do this. Like, I'm a Chicagoan through and through. But I don't know if I could have pulled it off with four in Chicago.
Yeah.
And my daughter's beautiful. I don't know if I'd have pulled it off like that.
Yeah.
But Sacramento and Denver was just the right size where you can do it.
So all four of your children played on a collegiate level?
Yes. So my daughter Taylor, Taylor and Ashley both started off at Vincennes University in Indiana, and then Ashley went to the University of Evansville. Taylor went to an HBCU called Wiley College in Texas. The movie The Great Debaters, that's Wiley College. And then my daughter Bailey went to Newman University, which is a Catholic school in Wichita, Kansas. And then she has her master's from Boise State right now.
That's called. Don't forget about Coleman.
And Coleman, yeah, Coleman's unique because he graduated in 4 years from the University of Illinois, a degree in health sciences. So people say he transferred from Illinois. He didn't. He graduated and he had a graduate year that he did at Kansas State University. So, yeah, he did it too. But it goes back further than that. My sisters went to college when nobody in our neighborhood was going to college. My sister Christine graduated from Roosevelt with 4 kids.
Wow.
My sister Judy went to SIU. Then Dawn followed her. Then Robin followed her.
Yeah.
So then all we knew is coming up is that was a progression. So that's what we did with our children. It was progression. It wasn't like, what would you do after high school? You're going to college.
So that means that the research is true that, education for first generation students can erase poverty from your family lineage.
Oh, hell yeah.
That statement is true. So listen, let's talk to the audience a little bit. How important is mentorship?
I think mentorship is everything in today's world, but it has to be done in a certain way. These boys and girls, young men and women, don't need to be lectured to.
Right.
They need to be mentored. It's different to get them in a room and say, thou should not do this or whatever. Or when I was in high school, I never did that. I'm just the opposite.
Yeah.
My mentorship is telling them all of my mistakes.
Yes.
That I could tell. And that's the thing I do. And it starts at the crib. It starts with your children. Like one of the things I tell like my son is that, and he recently joined my fraternity. I said, every year in college, I come back to Chicago. For what reason would I come back to Chicago? I want to see my friends and family. Once I saw them, I should have took my butt back to San Diego. I had nutritionists. I had weight rooms. I had my dorm room, all that stuff that I had. But I'm in Chicago. I'm at Chick Rick's. I'm at Heroes doing all that stuff. And I think back, but I tell them this. And that isn't to say you can't do. I said, but everything is done, in season.
Yeah.
I took the season to extremes. Then come August 1st, I'm getting back in shape. I never should have done that. So with my mentorship, it's telling the truth, first of all, then providing guidance and help. A lot of people say the guidance, but they never give them the help.
Right.
So like I have a lot of kids that I help get into college. So when they're in that college, when they didn't have anything else, they weren't recruited, they're in college, they know that Mr. Hawkins helped them get there. That's mentorship. Now I call them there. Yo, what's going on?
Right.
I talk to their coaches.
That's right.
And check in and the follow-up. Now, guess what happens? The next year, they're calling me.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Hawk, I just
the relationship.
The relationship is there. So now I have college graduates walking around that I had something to do with. But for me, that's the number one thing. I always say, if somebody comes to you and say they want to be an artist, don't lecture them on the gas company and transportation companies.
Right.
I picked on the CTA and all those steady jobs. Those are fine. But he just told you he wanted to be an artist. My job is to connect him with an artist.
Point him to his strengths.
Yes, or go out and buy him a kit.
Yes.
So that's what my thing is, and be a champion for these kids, and don't exert your fear on these kids.
Yep.
And that's what happened to us.
This might be the very first time that that many of them have someone to actually acknowledge their value, right? So that's why what you're saying is important, because many times a lot of youth grow up with no successful or even just solid adult, investing in them, right? Or believing in them. It might not come out of their household. So we can't focus on that. We have to do our part. But yeah, that's a great answer, man. Let's talk a little bit about this music battle that you have. What spearheaded that music battle, and how long have you been doing it? What are the demographics, so to speak, for this music battle? Like, what's the logistics?
Okay, so it started off with Herb Kent. If you recall, every Sunday he'd do a music battle. Now, Herb Kent had a collection out of this world, but sometimes he would irritate you. You're driving along and he'd go, "Today we're gonna do Al Green versus Keith Sweat." You're
Mhm.
like,
Yeah,
"Come on, man, you can't do that." But it made it interesting.
right.
So then you hear it. So I started it with my own family, and it was just, let me see. I want to say it was all 8 of us. It
Hmm.
started just doing that, and it started with 2 songs. So you just pick 2 songs and put it against each other, and it started off very primitive. Now I got it to the point where it's 175 people
Wow.
located all around the United States, because people say, "Can my friend come in here?" Whatever, we got rules and everything. But here's where it started. It started for my family to talk to one another once a week. With all the BS all families have,
Yeah.
this is one time a week we can talk to one another. So it morphed into, my kid is graduating, it's my birthday. Sometimes we might be the first people to say happy birthday.
Yeah.
Now I went up to 4 songs. Now people will say, "You didn't include this song." So now it is morphed into almost like a homage to Herb Kent, because I really,
Mm.
I get off and doing it on Sundays, and I just like the fact of the participation when somebody does their own battles. It just brings us together. But it's a way for I don't I'm trying to think, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here. We don't have anybody outside. It's all black folks, but they're from all different walks of life. I
But you
have
have a
college
whole
pro.
white playlist sometimes.
Oh,
Like
I know, but
the
like tonight,
entire playlist is white
yeah,
artists.
because we all had that AM radio, and the only thing that came in was WLS. Remember that, where you could do that and hear it. But anyway,
But that,
I
that
have
also speaks to the
doctors.
broad musical palette of a lot of African American people, that
Yes,
people sometimes underestimate us in terms of our musical taste. Our musical palette is very broad because we heard
yes.
these things during our childhood, sometimes in our household, right? Or
Herb Kent was the first one that would play stuff like that. He would
yeah,
play Kashmir. He
yeah,
would play Pathway to Glory, Dog and
yes,
Donut, all of these different things. But anyway, it's now become such that I actually cleansed it. And you know this for a fact. I actually took away, it approached about 200 people, but I looked, they never participated, they never voted, they weren't adding to it. I
right.
cleansed it. And here's the best part about this. I could be on the golf course, and if it started getting late, I had my nephew in Louisville said, "Where's the battle?"
Mm,
That's where I feel it, because it's not my battle, it's all of ours.
yeah,
But it's truly a way that we can communicate as adults in an intellectual fashion, without it being about, like, I hate to say this, you can't comment to a person, like, if I know you listen to hip hop. If I say I don't like hip hop, I get into a discourse where people are so defensive. Whereas this battle, somebody could say, "You know what, Hawk, I never liked Barry White.
right.
It doesn't bother me at all." So,
Yeah.
but I just think it's a positive way where our family can stay together and our friends can come into that. And I'm sure some people are sending it out. Like, I know for a fact that some people have sent the music battle to some very influential people.
Yeah. How many years has this battle been going on?
8,
8 years
yep,
and running.
Yes.
Man, it's been a blast, man. Shit has been a real blast, man. At the end of all of our interviews here on Chicago's Intellectuals podcast, I like to afford our guests an opportunity to tell the story of their choice. I know you're a funny guy. I'm going to brace myself. Now is your time. A story of your choice, no matter what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna tell this story, and I be I got a name like our friends that I got a set of friends from high school that you hear people say, some people are so negative, you don't need a bunch of friends, you'll never talk to them again. I got people that I've known since August of 1980, and we're great friends. Do we have to speak every day? No, but I really have, and I'll name them. I'll name Tyree Fleming, Rodney Allen, the host of the show, Rodney Barnes, Leon Griffith,
Mm-hmm.
Lorenzo Jackson, Clyde Hudson, Delvin Fuller. These are people that I talk to all the time. But here's my story. A friend of mine and I in eighth grade, and we want to go to Julian or Corliss. Like everybody in our neighborhood, that's where we wanted to go. Julian or Corliss, fairly new school. Well, our school has a lottery system. So our parents are there and everything. And somehow it got to me and they pulled my name out of a hat. No Julian, no Corliss. And they said, here are the selections. And I think it was Christian Finger, Carver, George Washington Carver, and John Harlan. As much as I could say, my mother was sitting there. My mother said, I went to Finger. Finger ain't bad. I said, you went to Finger in the 50s. It's a totally different shot. So anyway, Tyree's laughing. I mean, he stuttered a little bit back there. He's just tickled pink. He's cracking up. They get to his name, and they said George Washington Carver,
Wow.
Harlan, and Finger. So we looked at each other and we said, we're going to CBS. So literally that night we're all laughing. And I recently heard Tim Hardaway say that at the Hall of Fame, he had the same choices, but he wound up going to Carver. So anyway, to make a long story short, we get to CBS and we get our computerized thing. It says 492. So we go up there, 492, and the auditorium was upstairs. And we're sitting there, we're happy. Everybody got the new clothes on. It's hot, August. Sitting there, and then all of a sudden I get home, and my brother Brian, who went to CBS, said, I never heard of 492.
That was a division.
That's a weird division. I was like, but that's because the school was big, and that's what I said. So we get to school, and next you know, we're sitting there, and every class I had after a certain period was music. And I raised my hand. I was like, hey, there's a mistake here. I got music on all these music classes. And the band director, he didn't say nothing. He just looked and said, we'll take care of it. Kind of waved me off. I come back again because Tyree had the same thing in there. It was music appreciation, music theory. What is this? So Tyree and I go to the assistant principal and we say, for some reason, we're in the band. We never asked to be in the band. We come to play sports and everything. And the assistant principal says, well, you signed your name. I said, no, we signed our name. He came to our grade school and said anybody who's going to CBS, he'll call us and tell us about the music thing. And he said, but unfortunately, you guys are majoring in music. I can't let you out until the semester ends. We still go down there when semester ends. He blows us off again. We're stuck in the band. So my story is, although the people that I named and I wanted to name them are some of my best friends today, we never set out to be in the band. So he tells me to go home and we're going to buy a horn. I get cursed out because I tell my mother I got to buy a horn.
Right. We were poor.
Yeah, it was like $30 a week. She didn't have it.
Right.
Why'd you sign? I didn't sign up for the band.
Wow.
So Tyree and I go in the fall, freshman year, and I'll be brief. We go to the gym during basketball trials. It was 600 to 800 people in there. You open the door, you can smell the underarm must. There was that many people. We look at each other and we go, seems like everybody know each other in there. We ain't gonna go in there. We didn't go in. We went back up to the band room and we would talk on the phone for 2 to 3 hours, miserable that we were stuck in the band.
Wow.
Now he taught us how to play and everything, but we literally have no connection to the band. So my funny part of this story is that this is a phenomenal CVS story. We're getting new uniforms and we're selling candy. So we're doing a good job turning in the money, but this particular day I had 2 boxes of candy. Tyree had 2 boxes of candy. We had the money in the thing. We're on the 87th Street bus. And as we take off from CVS, and it was the worst part, it was 2:46, so that was the busiest time.
After ninth
We
period.
take off, and we can see the thugs on the corner of Jeffrey. Everybody in the bus is saying, go through, don't stop. This lazy bus driver with that big wheel pulls and stops. One guy pulls the thing, they all come on the bus. On the back, they ain't paying. Now the driver ain't said nothing to them. None of them paid. And the first thing they do is they do some gang stuff, you know, represent their particular gang and everything. I won't even give them any props for that. But anyway, when they got to the back, they recognized that candy. And all hell broke loose, man. They took our candy. All the candy went up and they're like scrounging on the floor for it. Next thing I know, they got Tyree punching them body shots. I stand up, they're punching me, body shots. This dude takes off, Rodney. He takes off with the bus. So you know how it's physics, the inertia.
Yeah.
Boom. We roll right to the front of the bus.
Wow.
As we get to the front, we hit it where he's at, and we can see them laughing in slow motion.
Wow.
All the people was laughing at us and laughing and laughing at us. So you would think, okay, we go down to Cottage Grove, we jump off, gather ourselves. We weren't really hurt. We come to school the next day and went around that whole thing. Tyree and Hawk got robbed of all their candy and their money. And literally, it's to this day, people will say that to us. But the school cleaned it up and we wound up being a preppy house music type school for the last 2 years.
But wait a minute.
Yeah.
They didn't get the money, did they?
No. Yeah, that was when we stopped on Cottage Grove, I told Tyree and we talked about it because we kind of walked because we were going to catch the bus down Cottage. We kind of knew all those guys. We weren't worried about it. And I said, did they take your money? He's like, hell no. They ain't take mine either. So we looked at each other and I said, hey, we ain't turning in this money. We already got robbed. So when they do the story, they took everything.
Wow.
So when we came in, they took us to Kimbrough's office and they're like, are you hurt, young man? You know how it is. They talk to you. And then he said, well, what did you have in there? I said, it was about 195. And Tyree said, whatever he had in there. Dude, we were rich.
Hey,
only a select few. But why would we've already got to deal with the embarrassment. Why would we turn that money in?
There was karma for all of it. For making you join the band, for getting your ass whooped, for getting embarrassed on the bus. It was just karma. That was y'all pay.
Hey, you don't have to include this, but one quick thing. We played Simeon our junior year.
Yeah.
And I wasn't on the team. Remember, we would play upstairs without the uniforms on. We'll just play the instruments when the basketball. I had to pee. So I went down and I'm walking past and they're stretching out. All the guys I know, Tim Bankston, Rodney Ho, they're all stretching out. And Ben, all of them.
Benji was still living then, yeah.
Yes. Hawk, what are you doing? And Benny said, because he was stretching right there, he ain't make the team this year. And then Rodney Hawkins, who's a friend of mine to this day, he said, he in the band. Oh, they all started laughing. So Tim Bankston came, though, he kind of saved the day. I literally didn't have to use the restroom no more. I was going to run upstairs. Tim Bankston saved the day. He looks, because we have been playing in the summers at Dauphine Park off Cottage Grove. He looked at me and said, he better than all y'all. The hell, he ain't on the team. So it's just stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
And I love the fact you're giving me this venue to get that stuff out, because that's what helped to propel me, because I'm humble. When I received my basketball scholarship, I know for a fact that's God, because I had no way of going to college. If my parents didn't have money to do nothing.
Right, man. Hey, man, that's a fascinating
right.
story, man. Hey, I appreciate you, man, for coming on and spending some time with us today, man. Do you want to give the audience your pitch for the Hawkins Group if they need some financial planning or consulting?
Yeah, so I am licensed in the state of Illinois as well. So California, Illinois is mainly where my practice lies. But if you want to reach me, you can reach me at 916-217-4799 or email me at 69tall@hotmail.com. That is SIXNINETALL. And you can also reach out with me on LinkedIn. And remember, calling me is more a holistic phone call. I am not a solicitor.
There it is. For Rodney Hawkins, I am the Kid Ride Out, and this has been another episode of Chicago's Intellectuals Podcast. Until next time, peace.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bro.